Should you just pray and wait and not date? I wouldn't do that, and I'm gonna tell you why. Hey friends, welcome back to our channel. My name is Jumoke Win and I'm one half of Win at Love. My husband and I, we coach Christian women with faith and strategy to meet their kingdom partner. Meet, date, and marry their kingdom partner. So all of this sounds like something you'd be interested in. Make sure that you do like, subscribe, and you hit that bell so that you can continue to get more notifications. All right, so let's talk about, here are traditional Christian dating advice I would never take if I was single. Okay, I hear these. I hear this advice constantly in the Christian community, and if I was a single woman now, knowing what I do know, I'd never take this advice. One is pray and not date. Oh, wait and not date. Excuse me, wait and not date. This is a subconscious message. I think has infiltrated a lot of Christian culture. It's Some people say it explicitly, some people don't. It's kind of like, whatever you're waiting on God for, just wait on Him, right? Wait on Him. It's like, well, women are waiting for marriage. If you want marriage, just wait on Him. If you want $1 million, just wait on Him. And it's really a lot in prosperity gospel churches that they do push this type of rhetoric of, as long as you pay your tithes and you just wait and you pray and you do all the spiritual, if you do everything right, God will just magically give you a whatever your heart's desire. But I would never take this advice simply because I just, there's, again, it's from well-meaning Christians, but I think that listening to this advice keeps women passive in their own love stories. And it's just one of those things of, this is not promised to you. There is no promise of marriage in the Bible. I always say that we would never give this advice if it comes to getting a job or whatever. If you want a certain type of job, you want to be a doctor, who's going to tell you to just wait and not do anything? Just wait on God. I would assume that you are being proactive while you wait. But there is usually this gap missing when I'm hearing Christian dating advice. There's a gap between faith and receiving, and that's action, right? So they push so much of have faith, and then you'll receive. But so you just do nothing, right? Like if you have faith without action, that's just wishful thinking. It's wishful thinking. How in the world am I going to be praying and saying, God, I want to become a doctor and do nothing, not go to med school, not do my pre-med, not do my residency, not pass my exams, not study? What? And I know for a marriage, it seems the reason why I understand why people say stuff like that is because most of the time, the people who are saying these things, who have gotten results from waiting and not doing anything, is Gen Xers, right? Gen Xers and boomers, and well, baby boomers, simply because they didn't have to do much. When marriage rates were a little bit higher, and you had people who went outside. Now we have technology. We don't meet people in the same traditional way that our parents did. Our parents just went outside. They're just going about their business, running errands, and they met people. They would go to the mall. They'll go to the market. They meet a man. They're at school. Men approached women. It was a lot easier as a woman to simply exist and get asked out on a date, get taken out. It was so much easier as a woman. You actually didn't have to do anything differently from what you were already doing. But because our patterns, our habitual patterns have changed, we're more indoors. We lost some years to COVID. Hello. A lot of us have remote jobs. A lot of us are homebodies. We're stuck on social media, the internet. There's so many different things that pushed people more indoors. So we don't have as many organic ways to just meet people like how we did. Like once you finish school and you move on to the real world, you have to be super intentional to meet anyone. And this is not even just dating. This is just making new friends. If you move to a new city, no one's just going to come around you and you just have a community. You have to be super intentional about finding and building a community. And it's not anything differently when it comes to dating. Dating is the same thing. If you want a certain type of man, you have to put yourself out there. You have to position yourself where he's at. You can't just demand that he's going to fall from the sky and he's because you've been waiting, right? Like, you waiting doesn't push you forward in the blessings line. Okay, you waiting is just you wasting your time if you're not doing anything to proactively put yourself out there. And I get it. Some women are like, yeah, but I'm praying, but I'm being a Proverbs 31 woman. Yeah, in a bubble. You can do all that, and if you don't talk to any men, it doesn't matter, because you have to marry a man at the end of the day. So what the how do I say it? The work that really matters is, how many men are you talking to? How many men are you interacting with? If you're not interacting with any men at all, or you're only interacting with one new man every year as a woman, and you're taking forever to vet him, that's a lot of time lost for you as a young woman who you have a shorter biological time clock than men do. So it's not wise, right? Next thing, let's talk about it, is all you need to do is pray. It's kind of going into the last point, but we should pray, but we should take action. I'm not saying don't pray and fast, but something that I discovered when after I got married, and I said this to my husband, but it kept hitting me. Marriage is more practical than it is spiritual. Can I say that again? Marriage is more practical than it is spiritual. We overemphasize the spirituality of marriage and like, oh, just pray. As long as you prayed, fast, and you did all the right spiritual works, your marriage is going to be blessed. That's actually a lie. That is a lie. Okay? That is a lie. You can pray, and again, if you don't do anything, you can ask God for a good man, but this fly, you can ask God for a good man, but if you don't know how to identify a good man, if you're not talking to any new men, you stay stuck. Okay. And the last traditional Christian dating advice I would never take is, all you have to do is be a good girl for God to reward you. It's all kind of like the same thing that I'm saying, but in different ways, because I used to believe all these things that because a lot of women are told, if you pay your tithes, if you're abstinent, if you never miss church, if you pray and fast, if you do all the right things, if you break all the generational curses, then it's almost like God owes you a marriage. I wish I would tell stuff like this to like women in the Bible, right? I wish we would tell something like this to Esther in the Bible, who was taken against her will to go into a beauty pageant. Oh, if you just pray enough, everything's going to work out. And, no, like, we have to accept life is not fair, right? Life is not fair, and no one owes us anything. That's why I tell women in my godly femininity brand all the time, like, no one owes you anything. You have to assume that you're not special. And it's not that all of these things are not good things to do. I'm not saying don't be abstinent. I'm not saying don't pay your tithes if that's your conviction, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't go to church. But what I am saying is marriage is not dependent on those things. Those things are good for you, right? You're abstinent for the Lord, not because you are going to get a husband. No, right? Like, you're not paying tithes because you're trying to bargain with God and you're trying to bribe God to give you a husband. That's foolish, right? That's dumb. Like, who is doing that, right? Who is doing that? No. At the end of the day, if you want to get married, I tell women this all the time, that the women who are married are not more blessed than you are. Even unbelievers who have happier marriages than Christians, it's not because whatever, right? It's not because that someone's praying or someone's doing this. Does that contribute to it? Yes, but then there's so much more practical things when it comes to marriage. One, the reason you're not married is because a man hasn't chosen you to be his wife. That's very simple. I know it sounds like, well, duh, but that is the only reason that these women are not married, is because a man has not chosen them to be their wife. And women want a very particular type of man that is not in high supply. That's it. Because a lot of women could get married to regular men. They don't want to, though. I always say that there's a lot of men in God's kingdom. He's not putting such a high bar and a limit for who gets to be married. He's not saying that only the men who are over 6 feet, who are making over six figures, have a six pack, and can sit here and read the Bible front and back and speak in tongues, they're the only ones who can get married. That's not in the Bible. Hello. That is not in the Bible. It's like, does he belong to me? Is he a believer? Okay. I will give you the grace. The end. Right? Now, is there wisdom when it comes to choosing a mate? Yes, but I'm talking about marriages that God will bless to believers. He will sanctify you in that marriage. But ultimately, it's you, right? It's you. Like, it's either A, man has not chosen you to be his wife, and B, you haven't agreed to be a man's wife. That's why you're single. But again, if you're not talking to any man, you can pray all day. You can do all the right things. You can jump through all the spiritual hoops. At the end of the day, how many men are you talking to? This idea of the one, and I don't have to do anything, and I'm scared to make a mistake, so God's just going to send me the perfect man. He's going to come perfectly packaged. Everything's going to be smooth. As soon as he sees me, he's going to identify me as his wife, drop on one knee. We're going to get married the next day, and we're going to have no issues for the rest of our lives. Is Disney. And that has been permeating through Christian culture. But that is what I have to say about this video. Let me know what you think about this video in the comments below. If you are interested in getting coached by my husband and I in faith and strategy when it comes to your love story, make sure that you do click the link in the description box, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.